Is house flipping worth it? We gon' not talk about the pros and cons of flipping a house, and then we going to crunch some numbers to see if it's really worth it. What is flipping? You're buying a property, adding value to that property, and then selling that property for a profit. Sounds easy, right? Well, there are some cons that come along with it. Let's talk about those now. So the first con is it's high risk. There's a lot of things that can go wrong when you're doing a flip. You could have a fire, you could have a tornado, you could have unexpected repairs that pop up. All of these things add risk to your project. The second con of flipping is hidden or unknown costs. When you're doing a flip, there's always something that pops up that you don't expect. For example, let's say you buy a house and it has old lead paint in it. You have to have that professionally removed. Or maybe you buy a house and it has asbestos in the walls. These are things that you can't necessarily see with your own eyes, but they're extremely dangerous and they need to be handled by professionals, and that cost gets added on to your project. And then the third con of flipping is timing the market. If you buy a property and you fix it up and it takes you longer than expected to get it done, you're gonna be stuck holding on to that property longer than you want to, which means your holding costs are going to be higher. The same thing goes for if you fix it up and you're retrying to time the market and sell it. If the market goes down, you might have to sell it for less than what you bought it for plus all of your repair costs. Alright, now that we know the cons, let's talk about the pros. The biggest pro is fast profit. If you're good at what you do, you can turn a property around really quick and make a lot of money. This is not like a long-term rental where you be waiting sometimes months to get your money back out of it. When you're doing a flip, you're looking at weeks. So if you buy a property for $100,000 and you can fix it up in a few weeks and sell it for $150,000, that's a lot of money made in a short amount of time. The next pro of flipping is the demand for these properties is extremely high. Everyone wants a move-in ready home. They don't want to have to put in the sweat equity. They just want to buy a property, move right in, and not have any problems. That's why there's so many HGTV shows and YouTube channels dedicated to house flipping. People love to watch it, and they love to learn how to do it themselves. Alright, now that we know the pros and the cons, let's crunch some numbers and see if flipping is really worth it. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000. That sounds like a really great deal, right? But then you start doing the work and you find out that it needs a new roof, it needs new windows, it needs new doors, new flooring, new appliances, fresh paint. Before you know it, you've spent $30,000 just to get this house to be livable. Then you find out that the HVAC doesn't work. You have to replace that. Maybe you have to put in a new septic system. These are things that you couldn't see when you walked into the house, but they're extremely important. Now you take that $100,000 that you originally bought the house for, you add the $30,000 that you spent on repairs, and you take that $130,000 and you turn it into a beautiful move-in ready home that looks like this, and you list it for sale, and you get an offer for $170,000. So you take your $130,000 that you had in the property and you turn it into $40,000 profit. Does that sound like a lot of profit for a few weeks worth of work? No, it doesn't. That's why I said flipping isn't easy money. It's a business. You have to treat it like a business. You have to take into account all of your costs, your time and your energy before you jump into a project like this. I hope this video gave you some insight on what it takes to be a successful house flipper. Thanks for watching.